What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about the NFL draft, and with the sixth pick, the New York Giants picked Daniel Jones, a quarterback from Duke. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Now, the moment that I have been waiting for personally for about 24 hours or so.
Same here. Same here. You're not alone on this, Will. I mean, if the desk wasn't high, I'd kick my feet up.
Max.
Chill out. Floor's yours, bro.
What was going through your mind last night?
What was going through my mind last night, I'm going to start calmly and try to stay there as much as possible, which is, at number 6, there were an embarrassment of riches in the draft. So as a Giants fan who not only wanted a quarterback, but who believes Haskins is actually the best player in that draft. Haskins with 50 touchdowns to 8 interceptions and a 70% completion percentage, even though he constantly threw the ball down the field. Haskins, who got better and better as the year went on, whose teammates love him, who's an obvious natural-born leader who has the confidence bordering on arrogance of a guy who believes he will be great. That guy, Haskins, who grew up in Jersey rooting for the Giants, like who's going to be to the Giants what Derek Jeter was to the Yankees with the 6th overall pick, too, by the way. They're not going to take him because there are too many other great players there, and maybe they're not as high on him as others. And there are some other quarterbacks later on in this draft. Damn. But obviously, you don't take Daniel Jones at 6. There is a word for the Daniel Joneses of the world. By the way, even if he turns out to be a great quarterback, you know what it is? It's a phrase. Day 2 guy. You don't have.
So Max is absolutely correct. So let's get this straight. So the Giants had Odell Beckham Jr., arguably the best wide receiver in the game. They made him the highest paid receiver in the game. Less than a year later, they trade him to the Browns, stacking the Browns instead of trading Eli Manning, an aging quarterback, while winning 2 Super Bowls against arguably the GOAT Tom Brady. They kept him, and now they had a 6th pick for the NFL draft. They didn't get a wide receiver to try and replace Odell Beckham Jr., which would be very hard to do because he's a top 3 wide receiver in the league and only getting better. They didn't get an offensive lineman, a top offensive lineman, to help protect Saquon Barkley because defensive coordinators are going to stack that box and go after Saquon because they know the Giants aren't a dual threat. And with the 6th pick, they go and draft a quarterback from Duke, Daniel Jones, instead of Dwayne Haskins, who has way better numbers. They pick a quarterback from Duke. Now, that's like a slap in the face for Haskins, who has clearly the more superior stats. So it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So let's see what more they have to say.
To spend a first-round pick on Daniel Jones, Haskins went to Washington. Did you notice any other team take a quarterback? No. You could have gotten him in the 2nd round. He's a classic day 2 guy, a Duke quarterback who, for his career, 52 touchdowns, 29 interceptions. Haskins had 50 and 8 in 1 year. A 60% completion percentage, which by my calculations, I didn't major in math, but that's 10% lower, right? That's not 70%, that's 60%. That guy, because he works with Cutcliffe, who worked with the Manning brothers, you spent a 6th overall pick. Do this thought experiment. Let's say as soon as he picked 6th overall, Daniel Jones, he tried to trade him for a late 1st-round pick. Wouldn't have gotten it. Could he trade Daniel Jones right now for a 2nd-round pick? I don't know. But he spent the 6th pick in the draft. Let me tell you something. If that's the case, Daniel Jones got to go to the Hall of Fame now. When Gettleman sits up there and says he's a professional quarterback, really, Sherlock? You think you took a professional quarterback with a 6th overall pick?
Max is right again. So Daniel Jones better pan out to be a Hall of Famer. This is where it should go with Daniel Jones, and it better go. So by his 2nd year, he better be making the playoffs. By his 3rd year, he better be at the Super Bowl. Within his 4 to 5 years, he better have won at least 1 Super Bowl. That's the type of caliber that they wasted with the 6th pick with picking up Daniel Jones instead of getting Haskins. So he better be a Hall of Famer. He better produce immediately to have given him be the 6th pick overall when there were so many other picks that they could have made. And Haskins, he wanted to go to New York. He had no problem coming to New York. And you shun him like that? Like I said, that's like a smack in the face to go ahead and pick a guy from Duke, from out of nowhere, versus Haskins, who has the superior stats. that wanted to come to New York, and you pick a random guy from Duke? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It points to that the Giants must have known something that we don't know, to have something in the works that we don't know, to get rid of Odell Beckham Jr. for one, and for two, to waste the 6th overall pick on Daniel Jones, a quarterback from Duke. They must know something that we don't know. There has to be. So let's keep going.
He better be a professional quarterback. He better be a great professional quarterback. Not a good one, a great one. Because Haskins is in the division now. And you could see when he got picked, he was dying to be a Giant. He wasn't even happy going to Washington because he grew up for that team and said, the league done messed up. For the next 15 years, the Giants have to pay for Gettleman's mistake. Twice a year, every year when they play Washington, and every single time Daniel Jones starts, boy, he better be a Hall of Famer one day.
You're right again, Max. Daniel Jones better be a Hall of Famer. He better be Hall of Famer. Because I tell you what, Haskins is going to put it to them. So if they didn't want Haskins, and he's a better pick than Daniel Jones, like I said in the video from the day before or 2 days before, if you don't want to take Haskins, hold off on getting a quarterback and pick up an offensive player or offensive lineman to help protect Saquon, like I said, or a wide receiver to help fill in the shoes for what Odell Beckham Jr. would have been doing, which would be hard to do, rather than pick a quarterback like Daniel Jones. Like I said, just hold off, and you can get Eli Manning. He's good enough that he can still play another 1 or 2 years without completely falling apart. He can get them through 2 more seasons. While you have, if you guys do that, then they'd have time to have 1 or 2 other drafts so they can look and maybe get a better quarterback, overall quarterback, than what Daniel Jones is. I mean, the Giants don't think within a year or 2 that they can't get a good pick and get a better quarterback than what Daniel Jones is. They had to waste number 6 pick on Daniel Jones. Like I said, if they didn't want Haskins, fine, don't take him, but don't take Daniel Jones and spot in the 6th overall spot. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So let's keep going.
Start there. That's a start.
And then listen.
That's a start.
Yo, man. Yo. I am a team player. Are you sure you finished for now? I mean, I have no problem deferring to you for this entire segment. You sure?
I finished the start. Please go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll just throw in my little nuggets of material. You know what I did? I took the liberty, I mean, Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State, perennial national championship contender. Ohio State, Big Ten. And we know what he did with the 50 touchdowns, okay? 4,800 yards passing. Then I went to Daniel Jones. First of all, the name is corny. How about that?
Oh, come on.
How about that?
Come on.
Stephen A. Smith is right. That name is corny. Daniel Jones, that sounds like the type of name that you tell the cops that you don't want to really give them your real name, or anybody. You don't want to tell somebody your real name. Daniel Jones is my name. That's what type of name that sounds like. A made up name that you would tell somebody when you don't want to tell them your real name. So I don't know. Let's keep going.
Now,
for the quarterback, right? That's first of all. Secondly, I'm looking at the schedule right here because that's what I do. You know me. I'm very big on resume. Who did you do what against? I mean, hell, I'll look like an all-world boxer if I'm boxing in the mirror. You put me in against somebody that's an all-world fighter. It's a different problem. So I'm looking at this. He threw for 396 yards against Pittsburgh. He threw for 361 yards against North Carolina. Not basketball, football. We're talking about football now, okay? He threw for 423 yards in his last collegiate game against Temple, okay?
And not only that, I heard he lost the last game he ever played by like 20 points. By like 20 points, he lost the last collegiate game he played. But you take him over Haskins? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. The New York Giants must know something that we all don't know. And they've been keeping it under lock and key so nobody finds out. Because it just doesn't make sense, the type of moves they've been making over the past 2 years. So, I don't know. Let's keep going.
This is the Daniel Jones that they drafted. Now, I could sit up there and really, really rub it in by getting very, very serious and pointing out that the only starting quarterback in the history of the Giants organization was Geno Smith, which is who you played one game.
African-American.
That's right, African-American quarterback. That's the only black quarterback that has ever started in the history of the New York Giants. I wonder what the aversion is for the New York Giants. This gorgeous mosaic that is New York City and what have you. For some reason, you got an aversion to having a quarterback like this. I could go there, but I don't need to. Instead, what I will tell you is this, and this is the part you haven't brought up. The Mannings. This guy has a relationship with the Mannings. This guy's coach at Duke, David Cutcliffe, all right, trained and worked with Eli and Peyton, and they have such a beautiful, beautiful relationship. And because they have that relationship, obviously you deferred because Gettleman acknowledged that he did talk to Eli Manning about Daniel Jones. So let me get this straight. Eli Manning, who's 38 years old, Eli Manning, who has clearly slipped, Eli Manning, who's made it very, very clear he has no intentions of retiring. This is the last year of his contract in New York, which means it would not behoove him to really, really want a successor in place. Okay, this dude. And you went with that. You ain't a fool. You a new fool. Oh.
And also, it's like, it doesn't make sense that they would do that, because how is he, I mean, how is he he's going to back him up. And he even really looks like Eli Manning, to tell the truth. And I forgot what I was about to say. Let's keep going.
Okay, and as a result of that, the New York Giants, with Daniel Jones as the future, they will be going up against Dwayne Haskins, Carson Wentz,
But this is my favorite
and Dak Prescott.
Oh, boy.
In the division. Wow.
My favorite one.
Wow.
I like that one. Max, I'm going to give you one more shot at this, and we're going to be doing Daniel Jones all throughout this show, the New York Giants all throughout this show, because I'm not letting it rest here. But Stephen A. brought up the competition. You know what Daniel Jones' record was when playing at the top level, when playing in the ACC.